3 months after my mother's funeral, I received a voicemail from her phone number. Her voice said, "Check the floorboards in the guest room. Don't trust your brother." I listened to it 17 times, sat on my kitchen floor with my back against the refrigerator, replaying those 12 seconds over and over until I had every breath, every pause, every inflection memorized. It was her voice, not a recording I recognized, not something old repurposed. She said my name. She said the guest room. She referenced something that happened after she died. My mother passed away from pancreatic cancer on a cold Thursday in November. I held her hand when she took her last breath. I watched them zip the body bag. I identified her at the funeral home and sat in the front row when they lowered her casket into the ground. She was gone. I knew she was gone, but that was her voice. My brother Daniel had been handling the estate. He'd moved into her house to oversee the sale, he said. Convenient, since he'd also been named executor despite being the younger sibling, despite the fact that I'd been the one who visited every week while he showed up twice a year with expensive gifts and empty promises. I drove to her house the next morning without telling him. The spare key was still under the fake rock by the garden. The door creaked when I opened it, and the smell hit me immediately. Dust, stale air, the faint ghost of her lavender perfume that made my chest ache. Daniel wasn't there. His car was gone. I had maybe an hour before he returned from wherever he spent his mornings. The guest room was at the end of the hallway. Pale blue walls, white curtains, the same floral bedspread she'd had since I was a kid. I stood in the doorway, heart pounding, feeling ridiculous for believing a voicemail from the dead, but I got on my knees anyway. The floorboards looked normal, solid oak, original to the house. I pressed each one, looking for give, for looseness, for anything that might. There. Third board, from the closet. It shifted under my palm. I pried it up with my car keys. My hands were shaking so badly it took 3 tries. Underneath was a metal lockbox, the kind you buy at office supply stores. I pulled it out. The lock was cheap. I broke it with a hammer from the garage. Inside were documents, bank statements, legal papers, a letter in my mother's handwriting. I read everything sitting on that guest room floor with dust on my knees and tears streaming down my face. Daniel had been stealing from her for years. He'd convinced her to add him to her accounts for convenience. Then he'd been siphoning money. 30,000 here, 50,000 there, over $200,000 total by the time she got sick. When she found out, she confronted him. The letter described it in her shaking script. He threatened me, said if I told anyone, he'd make sure you never got a cent. He said he'd burn the house down with all of us in it before he'd let me ruin his reputation. I'm hiding this because I don't know what else to do. I'm so tired, sweetheart. I'm so tired of fighting. She died 3 weeks after writing that letter. I sat there for a long time, processing, grieving, raging. Then I heard the front door open. "Hello?" Daniel's voice echoed through the hallway. "Who's here?" I saw a car outside. I stood up, gathered the documents, walked into the living room where my brother stood with his keys in his hand and confusion on his face. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "I told you I'd handle everything." I held up the letter. His face went white. "Where did you find that?" "Mom told me where to look." He laughed nervously. "Mom's dead." "I know. She called me anyway." I walked past him before he could respond. He grabbed my arm. His grip was tight, desperate. "Whatever's in there, it's not what it looks like." She was confused at the end. The cancer affected her mind. You can't trust anything she wrote. I looked at his hand on my arm, then at his face. The face I'd known my entire life. The brother I'd defended, protected, loved. "Let go of me, Daniel." Something in my voice made him obey. I drove straight to the police station, then to an attorney, then to the bank, where Daniel had been draining her accounts. It took 4 months to unravel everything. 4 months of depositions and document reviews and agonizing testimony about the woman we'd both called Mother. Daniel was arrested for elder abuse, financial exploitation, and theft. He got 6 years. At the sentencing, he looked at me with pure hatred. "She's dead. How did you know where to look?" I didn't answer. Some things can't be explained. Some things just have to be accepted. I still have that voicemail saved on my phone. I listen to it sometimes when I miss her. Her voice, reaching out from somewhere I don't understand, protecting me one last time. "Thanks, Mom. I got the message."